and is more aggressive.
Sweden has been putting the pain on Great Britain all heat long.
Well, Sagström won't like this flop, but he's going to have a stab at it.
Check.
You're going to bet here?
He's about 750 already.
Sagström representing the big pair.
350.
I was going to call him for sure.
He's hoping that Griffiths has got none of this, and that he'll be all right, because Griffiths has no pair, no draw. He's throwing it away.
Another goal for Sweden. And with that, 10 points for first and 1 point to the player who gets knocked out first. Right now, it's Great Britain and USA in a seesaw battle, trying to keep their team in this. Second level here, Denmark on the button. First action to USA. What does Andy Blanc have to do to get back in this? Is it patient, or is it get the money in?
Raise to 300.
He has to raise with deuces and hit a deuce, but I think that he's going to... He's got one customer, Christoph Haller, got a hand he wants to see it. Whoa, he's got a re-raising hand there. Haller has completely disguised his hand.
Yeah, a flat call from Germany with the ace-king, and the big
players.
blind, Sweden's in with a very nice couple of suited
Well,
connectors.
that's the danger of playing that kind of hand that way. And look at the flop that Sagström has hit here.
Block won't be too upset about that
500.
flop. He's actually got the best hand right now, but Sagström has more outs than an exit sign.
It looks like a good flop for a pair of
Raise to
deuces, and
1,200.
indeed it is. Haller playing his two overcards very, very strong. I expect Sagström, he might have been thinking of making a re-raise himself here. I don't know how he's going to play it now that Haller's raised, though.
Well, the bet's 1,200, 500 from Block, 700 raised from Haller, and
This could be an all-in move from Sagström, Jesse, because that's the way to play this kind of hand.
any 4, any diamond. Little does he know the 6 and 7 would be good as well. Could you see him folding here, Barney?
No, I can't see him folding because he's come here to win. He's hit his flop. But the thing is that Haller raising has put the cat amongst the pigeons, because he thinks Haller's got a big hand here. And he knows he's going to be gambling. He doesn't expect to get Haller off his hand. As it happens, he would get Haller off the hand if he raised.
The amazing thing is that Block has got the best hand.
The block can't like
What
it.
a
This is-
fold by
wow.
Sagström. He doesn't want to risk his chips, Barney. You think it was the wrong move?
Well, I don't know. I think because he expected to get action, he thought he would have to actually hit.
It's given the USA a great chance to win this pot.
Check.
Very unorthodox play by Haller in this pot. First not to re-raise before the flop, then to raise on the flop.
Check.
And that's changed the whole dynamics of how this hand is played out.
And the USA might know they have the best hand. This pot's big, 3,300. Haller has to find a big bet. He can't. Anybody could have won that hand, Barney. But it's the USA that's going to take it down.
I've got to tell you, Haller did a big favour to Andy Block, because if Haller had just called, I think Sagström would have raised and Block would have had to got out of it.
And that has brought Andy Block from the USA back into contention.
My biggest strength is my ability to adapt to my opponents. I play a very mathematical game, but it's a combination of a people game and a math game. I go and I figure out my opponents and what their weaknesses and their tendencies are, and then I adapt my game to that. So people aren't going to be able to play against me and say, oh, he always calls too much, or he's easy to bluff. They won't be able to do that, because I'll be able to figure out whether they're easy to bluff, etc., and I'll adapt my game to them.
one still remaining. 6 players at this 888 Poker Nations Cup heat.
We were all hoping you'd lose it, just chop it up.
Although, Germany right there, Christoph Haller is the short stack, and he's getting right in it. Now it's 250 raise.
Well, apparently Ace King isn't the raising hand, but Ace 4 is, Jesse.
It's just to play a game of Spank the Yank.
He wants to get back in there. He doesn't care about going out first.
House.
He wants to play some poker.
Is that a raise?
What's the bet?
250.
Not from me, but from Chris.
House.
2.5 times the big blind, and respect given all the way around to Ireland.
Parkinson, not a man to give away, dispense respect lightly.
Call.
He wants to defend that big blind. He's got the kind of hand to do it.
2 players.
550 in the pot,
Nice flop.
and clean
Check.
miss for both players.
Well, that's a good flop for a raiser. When
Check.
there's 2 cards, when there's a pair on the board, you're more likely to be able to get away with
Check.
representing. Parkinson picked up a gut shot now.
Check.
Any 8, 9, or 10, or else
Check.
Germany is the winner.
A nice
Check.
flop when you've got an ace in your hand.
I think they had
2 pair.
Neil's show though.
That is the first hand that Haller has had to turn over, and has he given himself up there, given out any information, Barney?
Well, I don't think there's a player at this table who wouldn't raise with that hand, but if I had to name one, it would have been Haller.
Wily player. He's had a bunch of wins around Europe, lots of placings. He's always been in there. Omaha, Hold'em, Stud. He knows all the
That's
games.
right, he's been around forever.
Christoph Haller is well a high-stake player, well known in the international circuit, playing the highest limit cash games, and he has no fear from money, and he has no fear even under stress situation, and he has a good team factor for having good spirit.
Cards will be out now. We're still 6, but there has been movement and action galore.
They don't play. They don't have that.
Looks
word.
like Denmark on the button, putting 100 on the USA.
There was no Irish.
There's no Irish.
Denmark on the button usually means action, but Parkinson's found a hand. And yes, he's found a hand to play. Ace King.
Ace King has tripled the bet, and now re-raise from Haller. 2 10s could be a classic race situation.
We could see it going very, very deep before the flop here, Jesse, but
players.
Parkinson just called.
Did not re-raise, and he's
Oh.
outflopped Germany.
And he's disguised his hand nicely as well. Parkinson checks, and I think Haller has to have a bet here. You know something, Jesse? When you
700.
call a raise, the most unlikely card to have in your hand is a king. And of course, Haller probably knows now.
That was 700 from Haller. A check raise all in from Parkinson, who has Germany covered. And if Germany calls this bet, they will have 2 cards in the deck, Barney.
I tell you what Haller's thinking about. He's thinking about whether he can put Parkinson on a flush draw here. He's played it like a flush draw. If Parkinson's got a flush draw, then Haller's 10s are probably good. And Haller is already low on chips. He's only got 1,000 chips left. So it's going to be hard for him to pass this, but he has to put Parkinson on an exact hand.
Well,
First one out only gets 1 point,
haven't got many left.
but he said it, not many left. And
1,000.
Parkinson played this absolutely perfectly.
Ireland.
He took account of the size of the
And for
chip stack.
Ireland,
He played it
ace
absolutely
king,
perfectly, Jesse,
pair
and he
kings,
certainly deserves to take this
raise.
one away.
And for Germany, it's a pair of
Germany
tens.
is all in and
Proof
needing
needs to
a
catch
10. 2 cards to come. This pot, very big.
Is a deuce.
That's changed nothing.
It's no help.
Or
Needs
a
to catch
straight draw
10
for
on the river.
Parkinson, but he doesn't need.
Let's see the river card. It's an ace.
2 pair.
Germany,
Superfluous.
nation
Germany
out.
is the first nation out in this first heat. They'll get 1 point, but nothing really went right for Haller today. He tried a few things. They didn't work out.
Can't reach that.
Yeah, really the last person I would have expected to go out first, Jesse. But that hand, however it had played, it could have gone all in before the flop. Parkinson made sure by checking on the flop that Haller stuck in too many chips to get away. And we're down to 5.
Could have passed on the flop, but you can have many hands holding pairs, holding a flush draw, and the pot was already like 3,500 and 1,100 left, so it's enough chances that he's got a hand worse than mine or getting lucky on the last 2 cards. That's nothing unusual. It's only sad that, well, getting knocked out first is kind of embarrassing. I feel sorry for the team who
Maybe they should tell me.
It'll be USA on the button this hand,
Maybe what we should do is...
which will put first action on Great Britain.
Raise 300. Pass.
Well, already playing with a little more freedom now that he's not the first one out. Finding a proper size raise for the first time as well. And only a call from Jurgensen.
I don't think he'll be coming.
2 players.
Well, Griffiths with position. If he hits a hand here, oh, this could be dangerous because Jurgensen knows to check to the razor here. And if Griffiths had checked behind him, though, most players would have bet this flop, but Griffiths didn't bite. Jurgensen's going to have to bet his own hand.
I think he will now, especially with the clubs and spades on board.
And if Scott Griffiths gets away from this without putting any more chips in the pot, he's done very well indeed. Jurgensen set a trap. Griffiths didn't bite. Good play. I like the way he made a proper raise before the flop, and I really like the way he got away from it on the flop, Jesse.
So Great Britain loses the pot, may stay in this war, and Denmark picks up another one. There is Jurgensen stacking up his little load. Just, you can see his hand a bit injured there.
I think it was a Subutio injury, Jesse. But we know it's not his raising hand, that's for sure.
He came back from winning about $500,000 in the APT and immediately stuck the money into a football match. Was tackled hard.
Pass. Pass.
And now
Raise 300.
folded around to the button.
Pass.
200 more on Great Britain, who's folded up. Little blind steal. Are we going to see more of these bet and take it's as the blinds go up?
Yeah, really, because once you come over the top, once the blinds are big, you come over the top, you're committing a big chunk.
The blinds have gone up. Those compulsory bets now, 1 and 200, putting 300 in the pot before the cards are dealt, Barney.
That's right, Jesse. Now if somebody raises, it's got to be a serious chunk of chips. This could slow down a little bit of this stealing, but I don't know, with all these feasts on the table, probably not. There's more to steal, it's more worth raising.
There's 600 under the gun from Ireland, and he's picking on Block's big blind, but it looks like USA is going to defend with the Queen 10.
2 players.
And, wow, Parkinson is really on a limb here.
Well, Parkinson knows how to play a chip lead, and with both of them missing here, I expect Parkinson to take this one away. Well, he's a little bit wary of that raggy kind of flop, but with a pair on the turn, that's an absolute blank. I'm surprised that Parkinson's checked it again.
Yeah, Queen High is leading right now. And Parkinson never tried to take this pot.
Well, that's extraordinary. Those chips were lying on the floor, especially on the turn, an absolute blank.
I mean, they'll know. I'm not allowed to believe it.
Queen High.
Talk about finding money in the street. Ireland left it hanging. The USA picked it up, and I think Andy Block will be defending his blind in the future.
Andy Block. Well, anybody that went to undergrad at MIT and went to law school at Harvard, that's a pretty good start. Now he's a professional poker player, so he's constantly had to excel at everything that he did, and he's excelled at poker. You know, he's a great player, an established player now, a named player from America.
Stop playing with you.
He was.
We don't do that over here. Instead of rather romantic.
But with these new blinds, certainly serious pots to play for here, and the 200 looks like it's going to be called or raised by Denmark's Jurgensen.
600.
Raised to 600 by Jurgensen with the ace-king. And just a call. Is Griffiths calling with one of these funny little hands again? No, he's got the proper hand this time. He's got the tens.
Sweden is coming behind with another pocket pair. These players all looking to see flops here.
4 scores.
Well, it's not surprising that Sagström from Sweden has taken a look with the pocket fives. Now he's really got value for that.
One big slick, 2 pocket pairs, 2,100 in the pot, and here is the board.
I don't know if we want that.
Clean miss by both pocket pairs.
He's gonna have all
Who's
of
got the biggest bluff?
Tens are good. I don't know if he knows it.
We can guess.
He's certainly having a go.
Nice bet by GB.
It's a small feeler bet. Very hard spot for Sagström. He's got 2 players in there, but the bet was very small.
Does he sense weakness?
That's exactly what I was going to say, and it's very, very cheap for Jurgensen to try and hit an ace or a king as well. And he certainly has done exactly that.
Well, he sure has. Does he know it's good?
Well, the other two know it's bad. I think Jurgensen fancies his ace. Yes, he's got to play it.
All in. All in.
Jurgensen has just moved all in. There was basically only slightly less in the pot than Jurgensen had left in his stack, and he has decided to commit it all, Barney. He did not want to get caught halfway.
Well, fair enough. If someone's got a flush draw or someone's got an ace of a smaller kicker, they're going to have to pay to hit. And they made it a bit cheap for him there, and he's absolutely delighted to take that pot, Jesse.
Come over the top of this, says Theo Jurgensen, taking that pot down on the basis of the juicy turn card.
If either one of these players had been heads up with him before on the flop, they might have made it more expensive. Because there was two of them, it was tough for both of them.
They've got 5 of them still in this heat of the 888 Poker Nations Cup. And just to remind you, the green chips, of course, worth 25. The blacks 100 each. The browns are 500 apiece. And it looks like Scott is a little low in both the green and brown department.
Pass. Raise to 600. Pass.
But Griffiths, he could have gone broke when he had the tens against the ace-king.
Funny raise coming from the USA. 7-9 suited for block, and Jurgensen peeling off with the ace in the big blind.
Well, when you call a raise with ace rag like that, you really don't know where you are.
Check.
Block might want to represent this.
Check.
But checked out on the flop, Jurgensen probably starting to figure out that his ace is probably good. Kicker problems no more.
Block is drawing dead, but a big enough bet
800.
could really sort this out. And Jurgensen with a tough decision.
Well, Block had to represent it, and Jurgensen knows that he isn't any problem with a kicker now, unless there's a queen or a king with Block's mythical ace.
Check.
First bullet fired, second bullet loaded. But Block checks, gives up the ghost, and Jurgensen will take this pot down. That's 2,900. And we've seen more raise and check-its in this heat than I think I've ever seen before.
Well, no one did anything wrong there, Jesse. I mean, I think Block had to represent it. Jurgensen, a little fortunate the way the cards fell, didn't really know where he was, but he wasn't going anywhere with his ace.
The poker scene in Denmark has grown extremely much lately. It's gone from being 3 or 4 of us living of it till God knows how many. And it's such a big thing. It's all over the media and shown on TV all the time. It's really huge in Denmark right now.
Looking at the leaderboard, it is Denmark on top, but it's really between Denmark, Sweden, and Ireland, all in play.
Well, no surprises there. 3 heavy hitters, 3 very aggressive players.
And I certainly wouldn't count the USA out at this stage either, Barney.
Raise to 550.
Block has been up and down, and is not too far behind. Raise from Parkinson, and Jurgensen looking over. Does he know that Parg has been raising with all kinds of hands?
Well, he knows Parg's been doing that for years.
Yeah, sorry, but I'm just looking at the chips.
That's okay.
But now I saw
Jurgensen's got a more attractive kind of hand. It's not a scared hand, this hand. Kind of hand he'd like to see flops with, but he may be wanting to make the re-raise, Jesse.
18. Oh. Raise to 1800.
Jurgensen put the re-raise into 1800 and has taken this pot. First time we've seen an over-the-top raise taking the money.
Good strong play. It shows what you can do when you've got the chip lead, and against an aggressive player like Parkinson, a very good move to make. Most of the time Parkinson won't have a big hand when he raises on the button.
Theo is, he might be one of the best cash game players we have in Denmark. He also is a good tournament player, but hasn't got the best results yet. But he just finished 4th in Barcelona, so that's pretty good.
There's Stevie in the box here. 1 in 200 blinds. It's GB on the button.
I should let it go.
Pass.
I'm gonna pass.
Pass.
This game has gone very silent all of a sudden, Barney. as has Sagström.
Sagström's going to have a look from the small
Raise to
blind.
600.
Well, no, he's raising it up and blocked with position.
2 players.
No respecter of the Swede.
There's pot 1200 already. Action will be on the Swede when the flop comes down. He's hit second pair.
That's going to be enough for Sagström to follow through. He's got one pair, he's representing the other one. And there's nothing really there for Block to defend with.
Pass.
Not surprising, the USA player giving that one up. Good aggressive play from the small blind by the Swede.
Erik Sagström, of course, is the legend, 22 years old, already a legend. I'm a little bit envious of him and his results, of course. He's had tremendous results, and obviously he's probably the strongest team member, and you can watch the other teams, they're really scared of him.
Welcome back here at the first heat of the 888 Poker Nations Cup. Blinds 100, 200 now. A mere 200 to call for Scott Griffiths. He's got his hands on his chips, looks a bit eager to call.
Pass.
Thinks better of it.
Raise to 600.
Triple bet from Sagström.
Pass.
The naked steal.
Pass. Call.
This relationship is one that's bound to develop over this heat, Barney.
Yes.
Jorgensen on Sagström.
Players.
Oh my, they've both hit top pair.
Check.
The 9 plays. This could be a huge pot.
Certainly could. Sagström, the aggressor, he's hit the top pair. Jorgensen's got him dominated. I expect Jorgensen to put a raise in here.
Call.
Oh no, he's setting the trap.
Barney, I mean, neither player can be wild about their kicker here.
Oh well, one of them is now, Jesse.
Check.
Now that's the trap check.
Look at that face.
Check.
2 pair for Theo Jorgensen, but Sagström doesn't bite, and if the 5 comes, it hasn't. It'll be just a question of how much can Theo extract here.
Well, he'll get a call. Well, he's trying to get a bet.
What a sneaky play, and it looks like Sagström's going to bite.
Jorgensen actually figured out that Sagström had some of this.
All in. Raise all in.
What a play by Jorgensen.
Actually, I think that Jorgensen didn't think that Sagström had any of this, and that's why he played it like this. He thought he was inducing a bluff. Sagström thought he was making a value bet, and now he's in all sorts of trouble, but I think he has to throw this one away.
The pot is 13,000. The important thing, though, is it'll cost Sagstrom all of his to call, and that would put Sweden out second. Top pair. Can he lay this down, Barney?
I think he can. It's not easy, though. He thought he was probably in front right the way to the end here. Jurgensen has played this extremely well.
Is there a player in the world who would have checked Jurgensen's hand on the river?
Well, I think he thought he was inducing a bluff. When Sagstrom checked on the turn, he disguises his hand, so he wasn't to know that Sagstrom had the queen. They both fooled each other very well in this pot, Jesse. But it worked out very well for this man.
The Dane is the man in form, and he is really showing his class here.
I think Sagstrom's going to have to throw this one away, Jesse. His whole tournament's on the line here.
Top pair. I mean, there's not a whole lot of hands that beat him, are there?
Do you know what's confusing both of them is the fact that they both checked on the turn, Jesse.
Can you imagine what they're saying in the green room now? Sweden is saying, throw it away.
What?
The Danes have to like their man's chances.
Sagstrom knows that Jurgensen is a very, very aggressive player. Very hard to make this move without a hand, though. They're trying to double think each other. He thinks that I was on the steal, so maybe it could be the re-steal. But really, he knows I put that many chips in. Would he play it this way? Wouldn't he have tried to steal himself?
I could see Jurgensen catching the man in a trap here. It was so crafty.
He played it perfectly, there's no doubt. But hitting the 9 on the turn was the best thing that he did.
The stakes are here, Barney, that Sweden could fold, and Sagstrom would still have 4,000 left. If he calls, a chance to nearly ensure he's won the tournament if he calls and he's right. And that is a huge pot. There's 13,000 in there.
He's going over his mind the way the hand played out, and it's very, very difficult to put Jurgensen on a hand. In the end, it's all about feel, Jesse. He can think about it and think about it, but does he feel a move is being made on him? He's certainly prepared to go with his instincts.
He's
And
called.
yes,
He is called, and Sweden is going to be out of this.
Is all in. Showdown.
Two pair, queens and nines. Denmark played this pot to deliver a knockout blow, and he has on one of the most serious rivals and dangers in this tournament. Sweden will gain 2 points. Sagstrom is out, and the king of ding is done.
It's still an individual game, so I guess that everyone has to play like their own game. So I couldn't really think that. I mean, I can only play the way that I can play myself. It's very hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So some people would probably have made a call. Some people most people might have made a fold, I guess. But it's okay.
What a switcheroo. The Vikings came to England, left Sweden behind, and now with 4 players left, Barney, how strong is Denmark?
Well, they've got more than half the chips in play. They've got the most aggressive play.